Okay. Today is January 13th, 2022. The time is 5:10. Let this meeting of the Tilton Northfield Fire and EMS Budget Committee come to order. Minutes from December
22nd?
Something like that, yes.
I move to accept the minutes.
Well, we need to identify for sure.
All right, I'll
which ones
look. I'm sorry, it's been that kind of a week. Yes, December 22nd, yes.
So your motion is to approve the minutes of December 20, or accept the minutes of December 22nd, 2021. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Only that, and it really has nothing to do with this set of minutes, but as we are coming to the end of our deal here with the budget committee, it's important, I think, to recognize the quality of the minutes on a repeated and ongoing basis, so thank you.
All right. Anything else? All those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I will abstain since I haven't seen them. Okay, everybody have a copy of the draft warrant articles?
Yes.
All right. Article 5 is the first one. Do you want me to read these out loud, or
It might be
save some
helpful
time?
for anyone on the camera side of things, the other side of the camera, I mean.
This one right here.
Article 5, add to the Land and Building Fund to see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 to be added to the Land and Building Capital Reserve Fund previously established. This article is recommended by the Board of Commissioners and so far is or may or may not be recommended by the Budget Committee. All right, I'm going to stop right there. All right, discussion on that warrant article. How much is in that fund?
500 something?
Yes.
Half a million.
Yes.
You're on that committee, aren't you, Kevin?
I'm on the building committee.
Yes.
At the
Well,
end-
that's what the, oh,
At the end of December, there was $555,279.22 in that fund.
is that a recommendation from the committee?
That one article?
No.
To put that amount of money into that?
No, there's no
To put any money
discussion.
into that?
There's no discussion on that committee relative to finance.
Where is the committee right now, as far as
The committee-
plans or?
Committee has come to a conclusion to build a station in Northfield. And we met with, I want to say Bob. Alan Clark, who is he happens to be the Sugarhill Fire Chief, but that's not his deal with the committee. He runs a company called REI, I believe it is, and he's the driver of the bus to get things done in short, to make a long story short. And we actually recommended last night, or we voted last night to recommend to the commissioners that they engage him for a proposal. And from all that, we've got some, what is RFQ? Are you familiar, Kathy? I'm drawing a blank with. We have the few outlines from different contractors. Turns out that was a step we shouldn't have taken yet, but we'll be okay. So I think we have 4 or 5 now.
Correct.
Right? I mean,
Yes. I
you
printed them all off, yes.
So we've got 4 or 5 packets from, it's got design build process rather than general contractor. So we're looking to have a proposal on the warrant for 23. We're gonna try for 22, we decided the window is too close, it's too tight. So we opened the window a little more and scooted it to 23.
So next year.
So there'll be a chance to have a bond, but I don't really,
You're not gonna have a choice?
I just learned.
Just won't have a choice.
So is that company going to, architecturally, is that where you guys are at?
They're going to, whoever the
They're like the clerk of the
general
works.
contractor ends up being, will have an architect that they work with.
Okay.
I'm kind of hoping that it's ends up being a company who's built fire stations before, and so we don't have to spend the long dollar on plans. We could maybe spend the short dollar on plans if they've used the plan somewhere else, and we could benefit in any way from that. But this, I've been in a meeting twice with Alan Clark, and I like him more every time I see him. I like what he has to say, and he's very, very to the point, and
So if we don't even have a design, I have a question for Eric, which is, why are we raising this money?
he's not here.
I know, so does anybody mind if we wait for him?
What
Yeah, I'm okay.
what was your question?
Why are we putting money into this fund? If you've got $500,000, I assume that this is land and building capital reserve fund. I don't know, and I guess I probably should have known, but I don't know what it's for. What specifically can that money be used for? Can it be used for design?
We have another batch of money for.
Is there another reserve fund for design? I
No.
know we raised
There
and
was a warrant,
appropriated
there
it.
was a warrant article last year that was non-lapsing.
Right, it's $100,000, it's
$100,000.
non-lapsing.
But did it go into this, or did
It
we
did
create a
not.
separate?
It is sitting in the unassigned fund balance as a non-lapsing fund. It can't be spent, it's protected. It can be spent only upon,
Okay, so it's not in here.
no.
It is
So this
not.
money is strictly for if we,
We could look at
Choose
when
a
that
piece
was
of
created,
land.
which was years and years
Oh,
ago.
yeah.
if we choose a piece of land and we have a design and both towns agree to build a building, then this money will be spent?
That would,
Okay,
that
for me
would
it's ridiculous to,
It can be, it can be used for land in building.
but to answer your question, I wouldn't mind waiting for Eric, because I have a question that's very specific to the commissioners on this article.
good, okay. Anybody else, Mike?
No, yeah. we'll
Okay,
wait.
so 6. Fire prevention ETF, to see if
Expendable
the,
trust fund.
what is it?
Expendable trust fund.
Oh, okay. To see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $9,627 for the purpose of adding to the existing fire prevention expendable trust fund, with said funds to be withdrawn from the unassigned fund balance. I'm not reading that next sentence.
You don't have to.
Okay.
These are monies that were raised through fees for various permits, like for boilers and sprinkler systems and anything that Tim has to go out and basically do an inspection on.
Right, and the monies go into the non-lapsing.
And the money's going, yes, and then
But,
at district meeting, we have to vote it out and put it into trust fund.
what is the money used for? And I know fire prevention, but is that the money they use for, like the smoke detector program? I know they do
Yes.
one down at the senior center.
Yes,
Is it the one they do for the kids with the trailer and the
it is,
smoke
yes,
and
yes. It's all of
no
that.
pothole just by the stove, that kind of stuff?
Right, and it also is used for training, to train personnel to be inspectors, so they can go out and inspect some of these things.
Oh,
We send them to school with this money as well.
Do you know why fire prevention has its own budget? I mean, it's part and parcel of the operation.
It is. This was set up to help defray the cost. So this way, funds for fire prevention items are not raised through taxation.
So if absent that trust fund, I'll back up one. The 9627 is money actually collected
Right,
from fees.
right.
Absent this trust fund, that would go in the general fund. And then at some point may lapse to the unreserved fund.
Right. It would automatically go to the unassigned fund balance, and then, yeah.
It's their way of getting it out.
It's.
The monies that they've collected, other than raising appropriating taxes, they're trying to get it back out to use it for this purpose.
Right, and eventually we're gonna have to replace the fire prevention trailer, so that will come out of this fund as well.
But we always put more in it than we take out, it seems, from
Well,
memory.
that's the purpose, because we're trying to build it up,
Yeah.
because, there are things that have to be, the trailer has to be replaced and all of that.
Anybody else? Any questions for Eric, or any unanswered questions?
No, doesn't matter.
How do you feel about recommending it or not recommending it?
I'd recommend it.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
You okay
Yeah,
with
I would
it?
move to recommend it.
Did you just make a motion?
I did.
I made
Okay.
a second.
You get a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Passes. Fire prevention budget. To see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $4,488 for the purpose of purchasing materials, tools, and equipment related to public education, code enforcement, training, etc., with said funds to be withdrawn from the fire prevention expendable trust funds. Appropriated from the fund, yeah.
I'll move to recommend Article 7.
I'll second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstentions? Passes, okay. It's interesting that they're putting in more than twice what they wanted to, well, twice what they want to take out. Health insurance deductible expendable trust fund. To see if the district vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,836 for the purpose of adding to the existing health insurance deductible expendable trust fund, with said funds to be withdrawn from the unassigned fund balance.
Do we have any idea what the fund balance is?
The
Oh, might be.
Did we have that?
Well, at the end of last year, give me a moment, I can tell you what that is. At the end of the audit last year, the unassigned fund balance was $626,117. And that's prior to any monies being removed from it at district meeting.
Just over 600?
Yeah, and then a budget was removed at district meeting, so.
So what is the health insurance deductible expendable trust fund for?
That reimburses the employee for their deductible on the health insurance. It doesn't pay for their co-pays, it just reimburses the deductible. It helps reduce the cost of the insurance. We keep $5,500 in that account,
Oh, so this is just to replenish it back?
just to replenish it back,
5,500.
right. That's what was
More
spent
than
this
that.
year.
Okay.
So it's an employee benefits, what it is. Okay. Okay. Any questions, any concerns?
Make a motion to move Article 8.
I'll second.
Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstentions, passes. Article 9, Communications Tower Expendable Trust Fund. To see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,500 for the purpose of adding to the existing Communications Tower Expendable Trust Fund, with said funds to be withdrawn from the unassigned fund balance.
Okay, in 2021, once the company received the permit to build the tower, we received a payment of $5,000. And at last year's district meeting, the warrant article was to split it 50-50 between the budget and the tower expendable trust fund. So this is the portion of that $5,000 to go into the trust fund.
So is the other money reflected in the budget somewhere as unanticipated revenue, or?
It will be in the fall when they set the tax rate. At that point, we say, yes, we want to use this amount of money and this amount of money to reduce it.
Okay. I recall the split vote,
Right.
that's what we can call it, and all be understanding what we're talking about. 50%, 50. But I also remember that all the money that, let me stop. Where'd that money come from again?
It came from the people that are building the tower. It's part of the rental.
Yeah.
Once they received the building permit, they gave us a payment of $5,000. And then once the tower is up and running, then income from that tower will be split the same way, 50-50.
Okay, so how is it set up for that money to be spent out of the communications tower?
Let me grab that warrant article from last year. The money is to be used to offset costs for repairs, maintenance, construction costs, and bonds of fire stations, radio, communications infrastructure.
And if the commission is agents to expend, they must be an expendable fund.
Yes, they are.
All right.
So, we're raising and appropriating. This is Shed Road Communications Tower.
No, this is the one at Park Street.
Oh, this is the one, so total Park
It's
Street.
not
Okay.
there yet.
So, why wouldn't we use the money to offset the Shed Road Communications Tower?
Because that's different.
That's not, it wasn't the proposal.
No, it's an expense to the town. I mean, the purpose that we gave for the trust fund, what you just read off, is basically just about anything. What you can use the money for?
Right, for repairs, maintenance, construction costs, and bonds of fire stations and the radio communication infrastructure.
Well,
So it could
Shed
be
Road is
used-
definitely.
Right.
So it could be, it
Yeah,
could
it's a
end up being
communication
used to Shed
structure.
Road, or
Right,
anything.
it could be used for, yes,
Yeah,
because that's all part of the radio infrastructure.
right, yeah.
Right, so if we're putting 25 in here, what's the other 25 being used for?
It's
It's
gonna
just
be-
going into the unassigned fund balance.
It'll be used to offset taxes in the fall. when DRA says, do you want to use any money from your unassigned fund balance to offset taxes, that $2,500 will go there.
But why wouldn't they use it to, it just doesn't make sense to me, so. But that's a different story from this.
Yes.
I'd almost rather see the whole 5,000 go in there.
But we can't because of the way the warrant article.
I know, but I'm just saying, I
Yeah.
just. All right, anybody else have any questions or concerns?
I'll make a motion to accept Article 9.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, abstentions? Oh, I'm an aye. I keep forgetting. I'm still thinking about what I need to say next, I don't vote. Ah, dry hydrant cistern.
So the next couple, I think, at least for me,
Wait for Eric.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, is he definitely coming, do we know?
He was coming.
Okay.
I'm surprised he's in the eye doctor, so it's a matter of, you know, how long it takes to get out of there.
Yeah, just, I have to get it at like 6:15 today is like the only caveat, so hopefully he gets here before.
Hopefully.
I leave that way, you can keep going.
So what was it, the next two, Scott?
The next two.
Yeah, I mean, we go to like contingency fund 12, I think, and then you're back to pressurized hydrants.
12.
All right, shall we move to Article 12?
Oh,
Anybody object?
we're gonna jump to 12.
We'll jump to 12.
That's fine
Is
then.
that okay?
Yeah.
Article 12, establish contingency fund. To see if the district will vote to establish a contingency fund per RSA 31:98-A and raise and appropriate $29,404 to put in the fund. This sum to come from the unassigned fund balance. Any appropriation left in the fund at the end of the year will lapse to the general fund.
This was voted down last year, wasn't
It passed.
it? It passed last year?
Yeah, I was shocked. I thought it was voted down too, but it said that it was, I don't know.
Huh.
Let me check the minutes. See what the minutes say.
I believe it was at one point.
It was at one point.
I think
I
so.
thought it was last year too, but
Oh, it went.
around and around.
It is 29 grand just if he wants to send, you know, runs out of money or something at the end of the year.
This is just in case money. This is if something happens that they didn't foresee, the boiler blows up or whatever,
Truck. loses
something.
wheels, yeah.
Did we use any of this last year?
No.
No, so it stayed
We
the same?
Typically
Right.
don't use it.
They haven't used it ever.
Yeah, it did pass last year.
Was it,
Did it? It must have been the year before.
Yeah. We can't,
I don't remember when I joined this board, but I remember the first meeting I went to was the commissioners asking the budget committee basically permission if they could go to DRA and overspend the budget.
No.
By dipping into the unassigned fund balance. That's the process.
Yeah, that was
And it's
for, related to the.
A big deal, it's just a
extensive
process you have to go through.
Last year, right?
no.
But again, the more money they encumber doing this, the less they have to reduce taxes.
So without this, they can still, the commissioners, can still take action to,
With this, they don't have to go to DRA. They have to have a meeting and they have to have a reason, you know, of why they're going over. Like, last year would have been a good case in point, because we lost the furnace in the fire station and several other things happened, but the chief just kept cutting things in the budget, not, you know, like training and stuff like that.
yeah,
But this would have come into play if he hadn't have done that. And if we don't have a contingency fund and something like this happens, we would have to petition DRA to
Yeah.
overspend the budget, and the commissioners would have to agree and the budget committee would have to agree.
Yeah,
which is, I mean,
that's not a big
I
deal.
actually, as far as personal preference only, I prefer that process to this.
Yeah. It's neater and cleaner. I mean, it's like, so last year, it passes, it's there for them to use. Personally, I really wish they hadn't cut training. I mean, you kind of think you want your emergency personnel very well trained. So they had the money to use it, still chose not to use it. So whatever money was left over lapsed into the unassigned fund balance anyway.
Well,
That's a fact.
that was the chief's choice.
So, this has been on our warrant for, I'm gonna say a few years, maybe several. Was there a trigger, something happened to make?
There was, we did have, where we had to go to DRA one year to overspend the budget, and I don't remember what it was for, it was several years ago.
Yeah,
And then if we, it just goes back into the unreserved fund. So
It just
last
goes-
year
right.
washes back in.
It washes back in, it never comes out, it never gets spent without, you know, the commissioners, it would have to be something catastrophic.
Right, but it is encumbered.
yeah,
It's not-
it is still
If
in.
this passes, it's not part of that fund until it lapses back into it again.
Well,
But it,
Only because, not all about me, but, because I prefer the other process that is kind of ingrained in us over the years
yeah,
of the DRA. The only downside now, I think, and it's not really a downside, is that the commissioners would have always had to have petitioned DRA, but until there was a budget committee, it didn't require the budget committee's input. So, but, I mean, I prefer that process over this process, so based on that, I'm gonna move to not recommend, I don't even know which one it is, 12, right? Article 12.
Article 12.
Article 12. I'll second it for further discussion. Any more discussion?
Do we have to have an annual or a town meeting if we have to go to the DRA?
No, what happens is that the Board of Commissioners write a letter, and they get together with the Budget Committee, everybody agrees, they send the letter off to the Commissioner of DRA, and we wait to see whether he says yea or nay.
Yeah, it's been a history that
Chances are he's gonna say yea.
if he's gonna, unless there's something ridiculous,
Right.
which we wouldn't do,
Right.
they're gonna say, go ahead. There's no reason for them not to.
Right.
so we've only,
If it's legitimate request, it's easy enough to prove.
we've only used this once that we can think of in the history of it.
They've never used
We've
it.
never used the
We've never
contingency
used
fund,
it.
no.
They took it after they went to.
And was it last year or the year before when the furnace went?
It was last year, the
Last
first
year,
one.
they could have used it
Yeah.
Right.
and demonstrated they didn't need it.
Yeah, because he cut down on
Yeah.
training and other things.
Now, if this doesn't happen, is there any way that this can be used for offsetting taxes, or is it just end up in the unreserved fund
It ends up
still?
in the unreserved fund as well. still.
Which the
But-
commissioners can
The
choose
commissioners could
to
vote
use an amount
that.
from that to reduce taxes.
Okay.
Basically give it back to the taxpayer.
Is this a percentage of something?
It's a percentage of the prior year's budget.
Like 1% maybe?
I believe so,
Yeah, 2.9 million, right?
right.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. Any more discussion on that motion? Not to recommend Article 12. That's the motion. Any more? Everybody good? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Yeah.
Abstentions, so we have 3 yes, 1 no. The article passes, not to recommend. Not to keep track. Oh,
14 next, I guess.
pressurized hydrants, you wanna wait,
Yeah.
everybody? Skip over 13?
Okay.
Wait a minute, so, it was 629,000. pressurized hydrants, wasn't that the number?
That was closer to 200,000 a year.
Yes,
Right, but it was a
was
five-
$629,942 in 2021, and the annual cost was $125,988.
Apparatus and Equipment Fund Budget, Article 14, to see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate $162,603 for the purpose of purchasing fire, rescue, EMS equipment, and ambulance charges. With said funds to be withdrawn from the Apparatus and Equipment Special Revenue Fund established under RSA 31:9-C, adopted March 7th, 2005. Funds appropriated from this fund do not affect the tax rate. I'll read that there, but I don't agree with it. Ambulance charges?
Yes, that's our billing company.
Oh, okay. I'd have written that a little differently. Okay, discussion. Anybody? Questions, concerns?
So this is for the equipment we looked at in all these budgets?
Yes,
Yeah, it was towards the back, right?
yes. The only thing that's not included in there is Article 15.
Page 12
Yes,
and 14, or 12 and 13, I guess.
mhm.
Yeah, we've already gone over it, so
Yeah.
it's all information we've already looked at, so, I mean, I make a motion to approve 14, Article 14.
I'll second.
Okay. Any more discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Yeah.
Abstentions. So I have 3 yes, 1 no. Oops, article passes. Article 15, new car 3.
It's for Deputy Jubert.
Was that,
His is being held
what does the
together.
3 mean?
That-
Number 3?
Yes, it's the number 3. The chief's car is number 1, Deputy Robinson's car is number 2.
Oh, I get it, okay, I was gonna say buying 3 cars, where was that? To see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $53,984 for the purpose of purchasing a current model year Ford Expedition to be used by the deputy chief, with said funds to be withdrawn from the apparatus and equipment special revenue fund established under RSA 31:95-C, adopted March 7, 2005. Okay. Anybody? Questions, concerns, discussion?
I'm not convinced that, 2 things. I'm not convinced that we should find another quote-unquote command vehicle. And the way this is written, if this does get to the floor of annual meeting, I will attempt to amend it.
How?
I will not put current model year Ford Expedition, because if you do that, that's all you can buy. And if something happens in the stream, you won't be buying anything, because that's all you can buy.
Okay.
And I'm not fond of, for use by the deputy, although I understand it would be assigned to him
Right,
and it's, you know how people are.
I do.
If someone sees someone other than a deputy using that vehicle, somebody's gonna raise up.
That's right, they
Now,
are.
that's an interesting point.
That is a good point, Kevin.
So,
That's a
I
very
mean,
interesting point.
I'm gonna vote, even on my own amendment, I'll vote to support the amendment, but in the end, I'm gonna vote no unless, I'm gonna attempt to talk to the chief one-to-one at some point after he gets back,
Prior to district meeting.
relative to this new vehicle. The bottom line is that the deputy has one that is of limited use to us after work, when he's out of work. So let's just say nights and weekends. It's away. I mean, it can come here if it needs to, but it is away, so it's not immediately available. And the other side of that is that the chief having one, there'll be copycat or cookie cutter vehicles, I'm sure. Hey, buddy, thanks for showing up.
Hey, you know, better late than never, as they say.
So look where he
So
said,
the chief
the back of the road.
spends a fair amount of time out of town, so that vehicle's not, I mean, it can come back here, they can all come back. But during the day, he is regularly out doing other stuff, not here, so the land vehicle's not really a land vehicle. So
That's a good point.
I wonder, could a different vehicle serve the purpose?
That's interesting. I can remember having that conversation with Board of Selectmen in Tilton about the staff using, police staff, picking up cars, et cetera, et cetera. Interesting.
But
Okay, so we're on.
as far as the money goes, 54 grand for, and this is fully equipped, I understand.
Right,
That's no money for that type of vehicle, because you've got to go in as a civilian for anywhere near that.
right,
do
you
it.
can't.
So it's really not the amount of money, the 54, we pay that for police cruisers.
It's the
And we
word.
buy them like candy.
Article 15.
Yeah, we don't buy them like candy, never mind that. We had in Northfield, we bought a few in the last year, but, so it's not the money, it's more the
verbiage.
purpose and the actual use of it, that's all.
Yeah,
So you weren't here, so the new car 3,
yeah,
I had said that I'm gonna vote not to recommend it here, and if it gets to the floor of town meeting, I'm going to make an attempt to amend it, because it says current model year Ford Expedition, and if something happens in the flow of vehicles,
yeah.
that's all you can buy, is a current model year. You can't buy a leftover, you can't get one later in the year and get the next model year.
Right.
This restricts you to a current, which would be a 2022 Ford Expedition, that's all you can buy.
And Lord knows if we'll even have them.
Right?
So, and I speak from experience because the town of Northfield owns a Tahoe
Yeah.
because there were no Ford Expeditions available. And someone at that meeting took the Ford Expedition out of it. It's a good thing we did.
The commissioners did ask to look at an Explorer. I don't know if you knew that.
There's not, you know, the money difference
Well,
in the fleet vehicles
the
is,
money difference wasn't that, but then to put the, what was it, the command shelf, basically, the stuff that goes
console
with
in the
the
back,
console,
from one to the
it
other.
doesn't, you can't transfer.
Yeah, and the money, the cost between the,
Well,
Explorer
the
and
savings would have
Expedition
been washed out by the
is
fact that
not
we would have to
enough
replace
to speak
everything.
of. And also, I would remove for use by the deputy, because although we know that's what it would be, as soon as someone sees someone other than a deputy in that vehicle, someone's gonna raise hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should say to be assigned to the deputy chief.
Well, we shouldn't even be, it's assigned, because
Or actually, does it even have to
in
say?
fact, the assignment of a vehicle is outside the purview of this committee, the commissioners,
Right.
that sets with the chief, he does what he,
Right.
you can tell him how many vehicles he's gonna have. But what is done with them is, that's hands off.
Oh, yeah. That's just a suggestion. Anyway,
So
Do we have a
just say
motion
it's
on
amended.
this? we've done it, I'm sorry, I was distracted.
It's okay.
Any more discussion on this? Eric, do you have anything you want to say?
No, I just said exactly what I was going to say about the Explorer.
Anybody? Anybody want to make a motion?
I mean, I'll make a motion to approve 15. I agree with what Kevin's saying. I'd just like to see it supported that way. Hopefully we can change the language, but still get it through.
Yeah, Kevin can
Yeah,
present an amendment on the floor.
yeah. Because I don't, obviously we can't change it.
Well, it
Now,
could be
unless you
changed
wanna-
by the commissioners at the public hearing.
Yes, it can.
It could, okay.
It could be.
So there's one opportunity, and if they Want to leave it the way it is, I'll just do it for you.
I'm gonna give a second. Discussion,
Oh, sorry.
that's okay. We're kind of informal, but
Oh, good. Because I like the idea of at the hearing, if we can change it, let's change it.
I have a hard time approving a warrant article when somebody's pointed out the errors in it. So, interesting.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Yes, I gave, T seconded.
So for, when is that hearing? Do we have that scheduled?
No, I seconded.
It is on
For
the
the purpose
4th,
of.
4th of February.
4th of February,
Long time ago.
but we have to have a time. You guys haven't set your time
Who
yet.
did?
So, but if we voted yes or nay now, and then we change it, are we gonna have an opportunity to change our vote then, or is it locked in? If we do change it at the public?
So,
I would,
It doesn't need our approval to go to the floor.
Yeah.
This is a commissioner's warrant, so whatever they put here goes.
what you're doing is you're approving the money.
Yeah, okay, so we could change the language at that time?
The language can
But
be
the money's
changed,
okay.
but the money is what you're approving.
Okay.
so, well, we're not approving it, we're recommending
Right.
it.
Yep.
We're gonna have a public hearing, and then we will have a meeting after the public hearing. I mean, that's the courtesy of a public, when you have a public hearing. So at that time, we could change anything that we have voted on,
Okay,
okay? So we could come back to this and, whatever happens tonight, recommend or not recommend,
okay.
any of these. And that includes any decisions we made here. But
Question,
that would be the final end thing.
I understand the idea to change it from current model year and maybe not saying Ford Expedition. I think that's what you said, right? But if we change everything else, but my question is, okay, let's say when the chief comes back and he goes and looks and he says, oh, they got Tahoes, but they're 55,000. Are we hamstrung by that now?
You're hamstrung only by the number.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So if he finds out between now and the February 4th hearing that, oh, there's Tahoes more readily available, but fully equipped, because maybe whatever's in the back of the Expedition now won't transfer to the Tahoe, I have no idea. And it's now gonna bump the price up to 57,000 or whatever.
That can be amended as well.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you could change
I
that.
just wanna make sure we're not, I like the idea, because knowing how cars are, we have no idea. What's good.
We're the town of Northfield, I say we, the town of Northfield is waiting for a police cruiser that we originally told was gonna be here a month ago.
Yeah.
It should be here this coming week.
We're waiting for Tahoes that we were told that were on the lot. and
It's a
they're not.
great chance to cancel those things.
Well, no, it's just that same thing. We were told it's on the lot. No, it's not.
Any more discussion? Well, we have a motion to recommend, correct?
Correct.
All right. All those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah.
Aye. So we've got 3 yes. 2 no. And it passes.
Okay, so, since Scott has to leave, should we go back and do the ones that they have questions on?
Yeah, we don't want to do the operating budget until we're
Right.
done with the rest of them, so.
Yeah, I think we're just waiting for you, Eric, to get
Oh.
a synopsis on what's going on with the pressurized hydrant, which I assume is tied to the
Oh,
other ones. I'm
did you see the
imagining.
email from GC?
No.
Okay.
Article
Well-
5,
I don't
Oh,
know.
it's right here, never mind.
Is that public information?
$100,000 to the land
Is it
building
in,
capital
is it in your
reserve.
email?
Yeah.
Is your email on the table?
Oh,
Yeah, it is,
in
it's on my
hand now.
computer, yes.
So, so it is public?
Have at it.
All right, so, hold on, let me find it. So, this is hot off the press, because the other commissioners don't even know about it yet. It just came in at 5:16.
Wow.
So, good afternoon. The Belknap Superior Court has scheduled a trial versus the Water District in
November,
late November.
Oh,
early December of 2022.
that's helpful.
Well, that was a waste of time, now, wasn't it?
So,
Huh.
so we're not gonna have a remedy anytime soon in this situation unless something happens.
Right.
So where did this come from?
The
The
chief,
fi-
the attorney forwarded it,
Just got it
yeah.
this afternoon.
No,
So where'd the 500,000 come from?
Thank
That,
you.
that was the commissioners, they felt they wanted to do something, so they, you know, it's like a good faith thing, Eric, is that right?
Yeah, I mean,
so here's a question.
So,
So why not leave it in there and test the audience, test the legislative body?
Yeah, that was the whole, that's what the,
so
You're
the,
certainly gonna get input.
the
and that's what
last
the
year,
board was thinking.
it came down to one vote last year. No one showed up from the
Water district.
water district to argue for, why. And it's not just put it in the hands of the voters.
so, at the commissioners meeting, the last one I attended, we talked about, Paul wasn't present.
Right. Yeah, we had one
Tuesday
Tuesday.
night.
You and John were floating a number way less than this.
Yeah, it was a compromise between all the commissioners.
So how do you get from whatever you were, and John were floating at that meeting, to $500,000? I pointed out to you the cost of the water on a per gallon basis that we use.
Right. But that was 1 year, I understand
That's-
that. But,
It's always gonna flush.
right, it's gonna
Why-
fluctuate every year.
Why is it that we are so reluctant to measure what we use and pay for what we use? It's very measurable. You can measure what you use and pay for what you use at a reasonable rate. There's probably not another fire department in the state that pays $500,000 for fire hydrants and use them as little as we do.
Well, there's other fire departments that do pay for pressurized hydrants.
They do, but it's no
But
way
at
near
what
this rate.
rate?
Pittsfield comes to mind, and I believe they are, not, it's, keep in mind, it's 5 years, so it's $500,000, but it's 100,000 a year.
Yeah.
And I believe they pay more per year.
They may, but.
But they
there-
probably have more lines.
There are also those that pay way less.
True. In most towns that have normal things where, like in Laconia, for instance, is the biggest town closest to us, it's all part of the overall budget. It's
They're
not
not a
a
district.
The water company in Laconia has their own.
Yes, but isn't that part of the
It's
city?
what is it? It's
not
not
a
a separate
separate-
entity, but
It's
it's.
the water and sewer department.
It's a department. It's a
Right,
department.
it's not a
a
municipal entity. The
right,
water
we have-
district is its own municipal entity.
I understand that, but that, I believe, is irrelevant to what,
Well, no, because the city of Laconia doesn't charge the fire department for pressurized hydrants.
Right.
So it's just part of the overall operations of the water department to have pressurized hydrants.
Who
I don't remember,
maintains?
I did look into that at one point, but there either is or it was at one point a budgetary line change from fire to water. But they also,
I think it's
Laconia
just- I think
also
it's just-
supplies Guilford.
So, in the interest of saving time, let's try not to get into a discussion that probably should take place on the floor of the district meeting. But I think it's relevant before we approve this, to determine where the figure came from. And it sounds like it's a dark figure.
It is. There was a lower figure mentioned, there was a higher figure mentioned. But neither one would have
So none of this,
been recommended by the commissioners.
okay, so this is a dark figure, not based on any calculations of what other
That is
districts?
correct.
Okay,
I'm gonna move to,
everybody understands that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna move to not recommend Article 13.
I'll second
Wait,
that.
I thought we were on Article what, 13?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Any more discussion?
We still have pressurized hydrants,
Yes.
Yes.
We have a injunction,
and we'll have it till November or later.
At least.
at least.
And that's how much the legal has cost so far?
$16,000 plus.
Oh, that's more.
Worth every penny.
Now, by us not recommending this or recommending this, doesn't mean, only the commissioners can take this article out of the warrant. Okay? It's just a message to the voters, which I've always hated, but nevertheless.
We
Anyway.
on 10? or on-
13.
13, yeah.
Any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion on the table, which is to not recommend, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Abstentions. So we have 4 yes, 10 failed. 1 no. Let's not recommend.
I don't know where that stands. Have they fired any numbers at you guys at all during this whole process, the water department, or?
Yeah,
They
They
did.
did.
They started out with the same as last year, and then they increased it.
What,
Oh,
600,000?
okay. So there's been no lower numbers?
No
from
lower
that.
numbers,
Okay.
no lower numbers.
no, there's been, yeah,
Okay.
And they're getting nowhere, so.
Okay.
yeah.
Do we want to move to Article 10 and 11?
Yes,
That was a question,
yes.
because we still have like 5 hanging out. Okay, questions for Eric for Article 10 and 11? Well, let's start with 10.
Is this like a backup plan, Eric, in case the water department thing goes to crap?
I think it's a plan to start a ball rolling in terms of, okay, we know that it could be the day that we can't rely on the hydrants, but there's also areas in town that need water closer to that, and this is just starting that process of, it may only be one cistern a year, depending on what the cost, or one dry hydrant. Dry hydrants are cheaper than cisterns. But it's starting the process, and it's putting money into that, so it can only be spent specifically on dry hydrants or cisterns.
I mean, this is a great idea. I floated this idea to a previous chief, and there was no interest.
Yeah, he actually has a list of places, but obviously, you're talking years before, because it's that, but yeah. I don't know if you know, there was a fire last night, and I was listening to the scanner, and guess what? They wanted me to use that same hydrant that caused a water hammer down underneath 93
I
last.
hope they did.
They didn't actually want them not tapping into it, so
That's too bad.
they had enough water on wheels. But I was like, oh boy, because it was going to be the same fire department tapping into that same hydrant, and it would have been like, oh boy. But,
Where's your sense of adventure, man?
oh, I was great.
How much?
Any more questions?
Well, how much does a cistern cost to put in, and any ballpark number, and how much like one would be to put in?
It starts at $30,000.
30,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then you have to get landowner permission, so there's some legal fees involved in that too.
So the 100,000 would probably be about 2 cisterns.
Hopefully, yeah, hopefully 3, but
2 or 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got a motion?
It was if you make one.
I move to accept Article 10.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. And Article 11, this is where we're actually putting the money in, right? To
Yes.
see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 to be added to the dry hydrant cistern expandable trust fund previously established.
Should it be expendable?
Yeah,
Yes, it
hydrant
should.
cistern expendable trust fund.
It says expandable, but
Yeah, I'll fix that right now.
just want to be sure
We're gonna expand the number of hydrants and cisterns.
that. Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
Was there any thought of that money coming out of the unreserved fund compared
That's where I'm going.
to taxation?
No, there wasn't.
So, not knowing what the audited amount is. Last year we had $626,000,
Yes.
but we pulled money out of that and not knowing where that is because it's not audited until,
The auditors are coming in 3 weeks.
Oh, okay.
But you know how much money you took out of it. That's just a subtraction.
I haven't done anything with it yet.
It's simple enough math.
It
We
is.
know we got about 600 now,
Right.
just over 6.
Right.
So
You
I
just
think
have
it'd be
to
good.
look
And
at,
This is one of those things that, I think it's a great idea, but there'll be an amendment and afford to pull it from unreserved rather than taxes.
We wanted you to be able to do that, Kevin. We did that
Oh, I see,
intentionally.
just so.
We wanted you to have that option.
So I'll move to recommend Article 8, up to, never mind, 11.
that's about to,
I'll second it.
any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye.
What was the motion?
To approve,
To
to
recommend.
recommend,
I
rather.
recommend,
Okay, all right.
I was stuck on the ETF and the Article 8, it says.
The other one that Scott had a question on, was Article 5.
Opposed, abstentions, article passes, thank you. All right, that leaves us 5, right?
Yeah, 5 and 16 are the only two left.
Well, once we get through this.
Yeah.
To land and building fund, to see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum $100,000 to be added to the land and building capital reserve fund previously established.
This is just to offset the building, right?
Eventually, whenever we have
Okay.
a couple $100,000 in there now,
500.
500,
Yeah.
a few, several $100,000.
So my question is, I'm a bond person.
That's because
You're
you
gonna
lend
have-
money, right?
What?
That's because you lend money.
No, I just,
Catherine,
I
the
think
loan shark.
bonds are much more fair when you're building this kind of infrastructure. Because people that move into town get to help pay for it. Somebody moves in 5 years after you have your bond, get to pay for it.
It's funny, because when I.
Right now, we're paying for something that doesn't exist. It may not take place if you think about it. I mean, how many times has it come up at town meeting to build a fire station? And it gets voted down. It gets voted down. So it may not even take place. That's why I say, raising this money every year for something that hasn't even been approved by town meeting or district meeting, and you're going to have to bond it. Well, at least I hope so, because I wouldn't want to pay the taxes on it. What was the last one, $6 million, $5 million bond?
Do that all in 1 year, it'd be good, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, if we keep putting away $100,000, eventually it might be.
Well, think of how many years that's gonna take.
Well, 60.
When I
Yeah.
move, when I'm gonna move somewhere, and I'm looking at towns, I look at their debt.
Yes.
That's why I never moved to San.
So I'm just curious why the commissioners keep doing this.
Put a little bit away every year. Eventually, we're gonna have to build something.
But it isn't going to, so it doesn't save anything, because those people who pay mortgages and whatnot are paying far more than, what's a bond now, 2%? So they're paying much more.
They're not gonna stay that low forever.
I've been hearing that for,
Well, I mean,
I don't
the
even wanna
rate,
tell you how
the
many
interest
years.
rates are, I mean,
What's your bond rate on the PD?
4?
no, it's less than that.
Oh, yeah, it is.
It's
That's
way
right.
less. It's 2-ish.
2-ish.
Is it?
Might be
Yeah.
1 point something.
Yeah, it might even be
You
under.
both signed it, didn't you?
It doesn't mean I remember it.
I may not have signed it, I wasn't for the project. No, I wouldn't have signed it, I wasn't there, I left before it.
Ah.
Anyway,
I like your answer though, Eric. You may not remember, but I do the same thing, I sign stuff, I don't remember it.
so I'm gonna make a motion to not recommend this.
I'll second it for discussion.
Discussion?
I'm probably at least a piece of the reason this keeps coming back. because I save money for what I want. And granted, I don't typically buy $4 or $5 million projects, but, I mean, the concept is the same, it's responsible budgeting, and I get that we're gonna have to borrow money. However, the less you have to borrow, I believe the better off you are.
It's interesting.
I get both points, they're both very reasonable. I just think seeing how it's going at town meeting, I think if we do have a little bit of a cushion, we'll have a better opportunity to potentially get it passed than if we don't. I think if we had close to $1 million, that would really be,
I don't think that's going to buy it or sell
won't buy it, but.
a fire district. A voted fire district for a building. It's just, if you listen to the argument,
So you get a better rate when you go to bond if you say, you got $1 million and we need $4 more million. Right? So that'll save money.
Answer your question.
You mean lowering the bond will give us a better rate?
Right.
Okay.
We have
it
more
doesn't
equity, more-
matter, the
more
rate of
skin
the
in
bond
game.
is the
I
rate of
was
the
lower than
bond.
that, so
But anyway,
that was a line of credit, so I may be looking at the wrong document.
all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Thank you for letting me. Motion passes.
I move to recommend Article 5.
Did we just do
You
that?
just did that.
We just did 5.
We just did 5.
Oh,
You want to do,
I was here too, wasn't I?
Another 100
Okay.
grand
Only
in there?
one
Kevin-
left
Kevin needs
is
another
16.
100.
the one left is the operating budget
Yes.
that we
Well,
came up with.
the motion was to not recommend,
And it failed.
and
And it failed, so that means
so
we're.
there's no vote taken to recommend, it's not automatic.
Oh,
That's an interesting point.
It was not
that
automatic.
is an
Let's-
interesting point.
Just in case, let's go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm
You
gonna
might have a
move
good
to-
point.
I'm gonna move to recommend Article 5.
I'll second it.
All those, any discussion? All those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Um,
Did we have another,
Opposed?
did we have another one that didn't?
No, everything else has been
No,
yes or no. We could do them all again, see if they come out the same.
Oh, no.
Okay, that was interesting. That was a very good point, Kevin. So Article 16, this is the operating budget. To see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the budget committee recommended sum of $2,817,902 for general municipal operations. This article does not include appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed separately.
I make a motion to approve 16.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Abstention? No. Article passes. 4 yes, 1 no.
I'm gonna blast that into.
Passes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you for
Get
coming.
through that. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Sorry, wait.
Oh, no problem.
Hey,
All right,
it's done.
it is done. We're
Now,
good.
your next,
When is our,
you had decided on February 4th for your public hearing.
Is that Friday?
It is a Friday.
Ain't no one gonna show up? We'll be there all by ourselves.
I know, as usual. So, you have to decide time.
How about 2
is
o'clock?
everybody still good with the date and because we could back it up closer this way.
We're in a window though, we can't.
You are in a window. Let me close this out.
The last day to have a public hearing is how many days before town meeting or
Um,
district meeting?
I have my little calendar here. Let me pull it up.
Is it 35, 45?
It's like 15 days, isn't it?
Well, I think the deadline was like the 14th or something.
Yes.
But having it on the 4th gave us weather.
You should never have your public hearing on the last possible date, have a public hearing.
Right, the last possible day that you can have a public hearing is Monday. No, wait a minute, wrong one. Okay. February 11th is the last date to hold your public hearing, and that's
What
a
day of the
Friday.
week is that?
It's Friday, February 11th is the Friday. And so you had decided that February 4th, which is a Friday. So, here we are. What do you want to do? Time, place? you know?
Fourth is fine. I mean, after the payroll deadline.
Say what?
Fourth is good?
I'm
Is-
sort of asking, is everybody so good with that day?
Is that the same day the commissioners are gonna have? theirs?
Yes, yes, everything's going to be the same again, on the same date.
Okay. And the commissioners are good?
Yes,
I'm good.
We just didn't have a time.
right, because you guys hadn't decided on what time
Well,
you
we
wanted
meet
to
at
have it.
5. What do the commissioners meet?
At 5:30,
People gotta get home from work. don't they?
right.
Do it 6.
So, there's kind of
Quadrum,
a stickle thing, because it's a public hearing,
right,
Right,
which means the public, if they come, will be allowed to speak.
that's right.
If we're doing it when they're at work, nobody's gonna show up on a Friday night anyway, but if you have this thing when there's no opportunity for the public to do anything but go from work to this meeting, which,
Well, we can come backwards and have it on a
I-
Thursday or
I-
Wednesday or Tuesday or Monday. I just don't know what's. It's the first. Okay, it's the first week of the month, right?
that is
Well,
true.
it combines the last of
Yes,
January.
And if they have theirs
I don't
at
know,
5:30, and how long,
well, what usually happens is the budget committee holds theirs, and then the commissioners read the warrants afterwards. I don't know why, makes no difference to me, whichever way. But you have to have it between the 4th and the 11th, so.
So the 4th is the first day we can have.
Why do
it.
we have to have it between the
The
4th and
4th is the first day, the 11th is the last day.
Oh, I forgot about the first day. So, we could have it the next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, blah, blah, blah.
are we trying to get them all together?
Who all together?
The commissioners and the budget?
Yes.
It's convenient.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not required, but it is
Yeah.
It's
convenient.
very convenient.
it just works better.
Well, you don't want, that way the public only has to come out
Then there's only-
once.
yeah, then
We
there's
only
not
have to
too-
go out once.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying.
You know, I don't.
I mean, what makes you
I
think-
no matter what day we do it, we're gonna have limited, I mean, history shows that
Right,
Very few
we don't
people
get,
come.
we don't get standing room only crowds.
that's what I was gonna just say.
So I'm okay with Friday, I just think the
All right.
time needs to be later.
I do too. I agree.
About 6.
We could serve pizza. That might get
You
people
can.
in.
The commission can buy us pizza.
Pizza party,
It's
commissioner.
not in the budget.
Yeah.
So what time do you guys think, 6 o'clock?
Sure.
I wouldn't do it
Right, in the
before.
pay increase.
I wouldn't do it too much later either.
What time, 6?
How do you publish this?
It goes on the website and it goes in the paper. And I send the notice to both town offices and they post it.
Do you think we could get the Tilton Selectmen to use the police's variable message board thing?
I'm sure we could.
And set it up maybe on Monday?
This Monday? No, it's, well, there's gonna be a snowstorm Monday, so probably not.
I think
No,
she's
the
talking
Monday
about Monday
before.
Oh,
the
the
31st.
31st. Well, she said Monday.
I know.
You didn't say what Monday, though, did
Don't
you?
you read minds?
No, I shut it off when I walked out of the door. So,
The Monday before.
no, that's fine, yeah. we can-
Do you think that's soon enough? That gives them a whole week.
I've never been there. Do I get paid mileage? It's a long way.
No, wait a minute.
No, no.
She's talking about one of those roadside
A
signs.
sign, the
The
digital
Tilton
sign.
Police
Digital.
Department has a digital sign. They put it
You're
out
thinking the
for,
PD.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
We could hold it there, I could inquire.
Yeah, we have to find a place to hold this, so yes. I mean,
What
this,
upstairs?
it's not big enough because they've chopped it up.
Oh,
Now, here's a question.
right?
Do we wanna have
No,
it
it's not that chopped up.
virtually?
No,
No.
It's such
No.
a waste of time.
Yeah,
no.
no.
Even all the
There's no
language thing, it's not.
mandates.
Well,
We had
no, just as a
mandates
courtesy,
last
they
year.
can't talk, but they can,
Oh, that's what we've gone to at our selectmen meetings.
yeah.
They can watch, but there's no opportunity for two-way because it crackles, it snaps, it pops.
Yeah, actually, at the PD, the sound system is outstanding compared to,
It ought to be, Yvonne did it.
well, yeah.
Yeah, but the
Actually, no, I think it
PD,
was a
Let it go,
great-
Kevin.
the PD would be kind of small to have this meeting.
Well, we've
This
had.
one-
If you anticipate that, let's say, I always say 20 people.
You're gonna get
Nobody
six.
shows
You're
up,
gonna
but
get
let's say
six.
20 public shows up, then plus the participants.
You're gonna
PD
get
room's
six people
kinda
from the
small,
public,
huh?
maybe. I don't think.
About Northfield Town Hall.
We'll fill down those I can make available.
And upstairs is probably available on Friday night.
Yeah, I can't picture of any place that's not available.
Yeah, me either.
Oh. I had an idea.
All right.
Park Street Pub. We could have fun over
I
there.
was gonna say, I don't know how much I'd be concentrating on the budgets. The war
But you know
time.
what? You'd get a lot of people
There's gonna be more people there than will be at our public hearing, I guarantee you that.
on a Friday night for
If
sure.
the people don't come to the hearing, we take the hearing to the people.
What do they have to set up a sound system?
Ugh,
Do they have a meeting room?
You know, bar,
I know, I haven't been in it yet.
it's a great meeting room.
I could just stumble across to my son's house. There's only a house between him and it. So,
I think, if you do 6 o'clock, we can do, if you wanna do the PD, it's fine, if you wanna do Northfield, that's fine. This room is not big enough.
No, this
no,
room's
but
not.
upstairs is. And we have a lift.
Oh, that's right, yeah, there's a big room upstairs.
Yeah.
But they chopped it up?
It's
No.
chopped up, but it's still decent
You
size.
think it's big
The
enough?
offices are still the same as they've been for years, all they did is add a wall. You know what I mean? Those desks,
Everything
spaces
is-
were already used by office space,
Right.
they just added a wall. So it's still
I
the
don't-
same seating
I have no
size.
preference on a meeting place, other than.
I don't either. So, do you
You're the
want?
chair, you're the chairman,
It's your decision. You're the chair.
you're the chair.
No, it's our decision, but I was gonna say, what do the commissioners wanna do?
Oh,
Because it's their meeting too.
I only speak for one, I mean,
you're the chair.
yeah,
Let's decide quick.
6 o'clock here.
You know what? Yeah, there's more parking here. At Main Street. The parking lot behind Northfield Town Hall is very dark.
It is. It's terrible out
It's
there.
extremely dark. And then if you have to walk up
It's
to the front
dangerous.
door, I don't mind
Lights
doing
out there,
it,
Cal.
because I want to stumble
Get some
around the
lights out
farm, but
behind
that's
the
kind of
Northfield Town
sketchy.
Hall.
It is.
Good, we saved enough money on the two streetlights. We could.
So my vote would be here, somewhere that's more lit.
Okay, so 6
Again,
p.m.
because the parking lot up there has lights in it.
We're gonna get lit at 6 o'clock?
Say what?
We're gonna get lit at
6 PM,
o'clock?
Friday the 4th, here, upstairs.
Okay.
That's a drinking term, I think.
6
Get
p.m.
lit.
We haven't had a beer in 6 months, don't stop
Wow.
talking about drinking.
All right, so 6 p.m., February 4th, Hilton Town
Mouth
Hall
is dry.
upstairs.
All right,
I'll make
That's
sure it's
okay.
available.
that's a plan, that's a plan.
I'll try to be there, it is tax season.
Yes, Charlie.
And we're just there to answer questions or say yeah or something, right?
You're there to take input.
Yes, Charlie.
Purpose of a public hearing.
You do take Friday nights
Does-
off occasionally, right?
Hopefully, people will come in and they will tell us what they think of the budget we've created. And why don't you think of doing this or this or this? Unfortunately, that doesn't happen. But if somebody tells you they'd like to see you do this and they give you a reason, we deliberate on that input. Typically, there isn't any.
Very true.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The more you publicize it, the more we can get it out there to people. Oh, what about that Facebook thing?
Well, Facebook thing.
Well, I don't do Facebook.
Northfield happenings or whatever it is?
Oh, yeah. it'd be-
Oh, yes, there's a Tilton Northfield
Yeah,
something,
there's
something.
multiple pages. you can
Yes.
put on.
Does somebody have the
That should be
capability
done-
of doing
That
that?
should be done by or through. Is there a fire district Facebook?
Yeah,
Yeah, but I don't do Facebook very often.
So, I mean, someone with, I mean, anyone can post anything they want.
Right.
I think someone who's been authorized by either the commissioners or the budget committee, in our case, should post it where it can be seen.
Right.
And the posting should be approved before it gets posted.
I authorize Kim Walden to post it on the Facebook thing.
Do what?
My vote is to authorize Kim Walden to post it on the Facebook thing.
And we can put it on the towns too.
Yes, I will send.
Anybody else?
What I usually
I'll
do is
share
I
it with
send the
all my
notice
friends
off.
in LA.
Cindy gets it, and I
Maybe they'll
send it to
come. Bring some
Stephanie
warm
as
weather.
well. I send it here, so.
Does anybody object to Kevin posting it?
Nope.
Eric?
no, just
Oh, there you
make
go.
it like an event, I'm thinking maybe an event. Make it an event. On some of them.
What's an event? We're gonna make that an event?
Yeah,
Yeah, like,
You
you
invite
know how like in
people.
Northfield,
We're
you
gonna
guys
have
make your selectmen
entertainers?
meetings an event?
I'll have to have someone show me, because I don't.
Yeah, I know on the Northfield,
I've seen them, and you can
Yes.
click on interested or going.
yeah.
yes,
I've seen that, but I don't know how to do
I
it.
mean, 50 people say they're interested in going, and if you get 10%,
Good.
yeah.
I only know how to look.
freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do anything.
I have done an event before, but,
And I steal my children's pictures.
We gotta figure it out.
I can do that.
yeah.
We can meet at the Park Street Pub with my laptop, we can figure it out
There you
together.
go. That's right.
I'm more than willing to do that with you one day.
I'll help. Okay, that sounds like a plan.
Just
Yes.
send me a message and I'll be there. Just make sure there's not another meeting that night or something else.
It's too bad we didn't have a real popular comedian local. We could pay him to attend. Let's say we could have an intermission halfway through. We'd have this comedian and people might come.
Good idea.
Does the meeting have to be a certain length of time?
No,
The hearing, it should be.
All right,
they do not have to be.
is there anything else we need to work out?
No, you have taken care of everything so far. I will get these to DRA tomorrow for the pre-review. And then once I get it back, of course, I won't be able to have everything for you guys to sign at the public hearing, because if the board decides they're going to reword that warrant article,
Okay,
we'll have to have a meeting after that so you can sign everything.
okay, okay.
Yep.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
It's not debatable. There is something that the chairman can say in lieu of,
This meeting.
and I never remember what it is.
Good night.
We're adjourned at.
No, there's actually an expression, because you do have to actually motion to
Spring.
adjourn.
Get
It's
up
just not debatable.
Hi.
Notice I'm not asking for a vote.
at 6:29.
I'm
Hit the little red button.
I only read that recently.